Years of tax avoidance and $300 million in debt. A report on Donald Trump's financial history rocks the U.S. presidential campaign, with the candidate's first debate coming up on Tuesday. Fighting escalates in the mountain region disputed between Azerbaijan and Armenia. The revival of the decades-old conflict risks pulling in regional powers, Turkey and Russia. And Emmanuel Macron hopes to play mediator in Belarus. The French president is set to meet opposition leader Svetlana Tikhanovskaya in Lithuania this Tuesday. Hello, and thank you for joining us here on France 24. I'm Allison Sargent in Paris. $750. That's how much Donald Trump paid in income taxes the year he was elected president. The revelation is part of a New York Times report that details the U.S. president's financial records. $750 is a lot less than most Americans pay, and his rival, Joe Biden's campaign, has already begun selling stickers reading, "I paid more income taxes than Donald Trump." The U.S. president has denied the report but has not produced any evidence to dispute it. Brian Quinn has the details on the revelations.
A bombshell report just weeks before Election Day. Sunday's New York Times investigation into Donald Trump's taxes shows Trump paid just $750 in federal income tax for both 2016, when he ran for office, and for 2017, his first year in the White House. According to the report, for most of the past 15 years, he's paid no federal income tax at all. That exceptionally light burden made possible by aggressive accounting practices, including the declaration of massive losses at flagship Trump properties. Since 2000, $315 million worth at his golf resorts alone. Also reducing the bill, extensive tax write-offs for personal expenses like hairstyling, private residences, and personal airplanes, as well as deductions for consulting fees apparently paid to family members, including his daughter Ivanka. Unlike all presidents since the 1970s, Trump has fought hard to keep his tax details private, claiming once again Monday, incorrectly, that an ongoing IRS audit prevents him from releasing his returns.
Totally fake news. No, actually I paid tax, and you'll see that as soon as my tax returns. It's under audit. They've been under audit for a long time. The IRS does not treat me well.
Not all of Trump's businesses are losers. The Times estimates the sale of his own image as a high-flying billionaire, including as the host of reality TV show The Apprentice, has earned him nearly $430 million since 2004. But his apparent gaming of the tax code may be about to catch up to him. A $73 million tax refund he received in 2010 is indeed under audit, which could leave him owing the IRS over $100 million. Trump has also personally guaranteed hundreds of millions of dollars in loans to his businesses that are coming due in the next 4 years.
Fighting continues to escalate in the disputed mountain region between Azerbaijan and Armenia. The area is recognized as part of Azerbaijan but has been controlled by ethnic Armenians since a 1994 ceasefire. The fighting seen over the past 2 days is the worst since then, with dozens killed in the second day of clashes. There are concerns that major regional powers could be dragged into the conflict, with Russia in a defense alliance with Armenia and Turkey backing Azerbaijan. Selena Sykes has more on how world powers have been reacting.
Since the flare-up of a decades-long dispute over the region of Nagorno-Karabakh on Sunday, Armenia and Azerbaijan have been playing the blame game. Turkey, traditionally an ally of Azerbaijan, has taken Baku's side, pointing the finger at Armenia.
Turkey will continue to stand by its friend Azerbaijan by all means. The region will once again attain peace and calm with Armenia's immediate withdrawal from the Azerbaijani land it has occupied.
With close ties to Yerevan, Russia has several strategic and economic interests in Armenia, but also wants to appease Azerbaijan, a former member of the Soviet bloc and an important trade partner. Moscow said it is following the situation closely, calling for a political resolution rather than resorting to violence.
The first priority is to stop the hostilities instead of figuring out who is right and who is wrong.
On Sunday, France, a mediator in the Minsk group created by the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, called for an immediate end to hostilities. Germany followed suit on Monday. The European Union has also reacted to the conflict unfolding on its doorstep. Its foreign policy spokesperson said it fears a serious escalation and consequences for stability in the region. Neighbouring Iran, meanwhile, has proposed to act as a mediator to help the two countries begin negotiations.
Next, it's a major show of support for the Belarus opposition movement. This Tuesday, French President Emmanuel Macron is set to meet with opposition leader Svetlana Tikhanovskaya. Macron will be in Lithuania, where Tikhanovskaya has been in exile since Belarus's disputed election in early August. The opposition leader asked for the French president to help mediate the crisis and for him to encourage his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, to join the dialogue as well. Jean-Emile Jamin reports.
Dialogue, mediation, and a path towards a solution for Belarus. At the start of his 3-day official visit to the Baltic states, French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed that a meeting would go ahead on Tuesday with exiled Belarusian opposition leader Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, as the future of her country hangs in the balance.
I will be meeting with Svetlana Tikhanovskaya tomorrow. Our position is very clear. We do not recognize the election of President Lukashenko, and so we don't recognize today his status as president-elect. So our wish is to reaffirm as Europeans that we need mediation that will allow fully and peacefully to draw consequences from the election result, and to get to a process that will fully recognize the civil society actors and enable a peaceful transition.
The French president will be Tikhanovskaya's most high-profile meeting since her country's disputed election in August, in which she helped inspire weeks of unprecedented mass protests against strongman Alexander Lukashenko's regime. One of the key issues expected to be on the table between the two leaders is impending sanctions by the European Union on Belarus, a delicate intervention, according to Tikhanovskaya.
Economic sanctions should be against businesses that support the Lukashenko regime, since ordinary people will suffer most from general economic sanctions. We don't need that.
Ahead of their meeting, Belarus's opposition leader also expressed hope that Macron could encourage Russian President Vladimir Putin, a key ally of Lukashenko, to take part in the dialogue.
The global death toll from the coronavirus is now over 1 million. That bleak milestone recorded by Johns Hopkins University some 9 months since the start of the pandemic. Here in France, bars in Paris and other major cities had to shut their doors at 10 p.m. this Monday. France is desperately hoping to avoid another lockdown, with the country's economy already projected to shrink this year by a record 10%. As Selena Sykes reports, kickstarting the economy is the main goal of the government's 2021 budget, which was unveiled this Monday.
To face France's worst recession since the Second World War, 42 billion euros will be pumped into the economy in 2021 as part of the government's 100 billion euro 2-year recovery plan, focusing on creating a greener economy, boosting competitiveness and youth employment. An investment in order to save jobs and businesses that will pay off in the long run, according to French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire.
We aim to create up to 240,000 jobs by 2022. Our goal is to get back to the same level of activity as before the crisis in 2019, during 2022.
National debt this year has surged to 10.2% of GDP after heavy spending on state-subsidised furlough schemes and business loans. The government hopes to reduce this to 6.7% in 2021, vowing that the deficit will not be repaid for a hike in taxes, instead cutting them by 45 billion euros for households and companies by the end of next year.
This is the biggest tax cut in France in 20 years. We will not raise taxes for the French people.
The government says the national debt will be repaid through recovered growth, cuts in public spending and major reforms, such as changes to the pension system, which were put on hold due to the coronavirus crisis. The economy is expected to shrink by a record 10% this year, but the government says it is convinced that France will bounce back quickly, forecasting an 8% jump in growth in 2021.
COVID-19 is spreading extremely rapidly in India, which now has over 6 million confirmed cases. Within weeks, it's expected to overtake the United States as the pandemic's worst-hit country. Still, India is continuing to lift restrictions, and a second lockdown is highly unlikely. We'll have to leave it there for now for this edition, but do stay with us here on France 24. Coming up next is the debate with François Picard.